What are the country's top CEOs doing to build extraordinary teams and cultures who thrive even during a pandemic? You're about to take a deep dive into the minds of wildly successful C-suite leaders who are evolving the way that we work in the 21st century. Welcome to this special edition of How to Be Mesmerizing. Hey everybody, welcome to How to Be Mesmerizing. It's Tim Shurr, and we have another extraordinary mesmerizing CEO with us. Sebastian Naum is in the house. Sebastian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tim. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a treat to have you with us. So this is a special Mesmerizing CEO Secrets series, and Sebastian he fits the bill for everything that we're going to be talking about when you talk about mesmerizing, captivating people who are extraordinarily good at what they do, and they're using their skills to make the world a better place. So you're originally from Argentina, and you are the co-founder of Socketbox Media and Go Global Agency, these two really powerful companies. And you just launched another one, Shakra, which is spiced coffee. It's a whole new category. So now you're disrupting the coffee industry once more. So Sebastian, you're just a rock star. So let me jump into the questions here, because we've got a lot to talk about. So you moved to Irvine, California when you were 10. You said it stoked a passion inside of you to help others view different cultures in a positive way so the world can feel more united. Tell me a little bit about that story and you coming from Argentina to the US.
Sure.
And what that was like for you.
Yeah, thanks again for the kind intro. Happy to be here. So basically what happened was, when you move at a young age, if you're not too young to where you're not going to remember, and you're not older to where you're kind of more established in who you are, you're at that kind of key age where you want to fit in.
Yeah.
You want to be liked, you want to fit in with the friends, the new friends, and the kids that you meet and things like that. And just, you see how difficult it can be. People see you as an outsider. You feel very different. And I think that that's what I felt when I was, young, coming into the States, and wanting people to understand my culture and also assimilating. And so, as you can hear me, I sound super American. I'm very Americanized, but I think that at a young age, it was this thing about wanting people to understand that I've got these cultural differences and uniqueness, but I'm also assimilating, and just kind of the aspect of, like, we're all one. Like, we were still two kids, with my buddy wanted to play some basketball or wanted to play soccer together. We still, had a crush on a girl or whatever it was. We're all one with these beautiful differences, and figuring out ways, like, man, the kids have such a hard time sometimes fitting in, and trying to fit in. So that was what sparked that kind of wanting to spread that awareness that we're all one.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So then we fast forward 15 years. Now you're around 25 years old. You have this entrepreneurial idea that you want to start a baseball bat company, right? So tell us how you had that idea and how you brought it to life.
Sure. Well, to be honest with you, it was the universe put in front of me several times. I said no to the opportunity a few times before. It was kind of like, hello, we're here, and essentially it was a special type of wood that was growing in northern Argentina that had certain characteristics that were different than the wood that was being used for baseball bats here, but seemed very promising. It had to do with flexibility and density, and that giving it more pop to the ball, and the breakage being safer, so it wouldn't splinter as much. And so, long story short, I thought, man, this is a great opportunity for me to connect with my people, right? With Argentina, bring an Argentinian business to the States. This is exactly what I've been wanting to do. It's international business. It's connecting the cultures. And then in that meantime, bringing some consciousness into that business model of, for every tree that we were cutting down to make bats, we were planting 2 trees. So it was just kind of like a perfect storm that began one of the beginnings, I would say, of my entrepreneurial journey. I was already doing real estate on my own, but that was my first company that we ended up selling later on.
Yeah. And what experience you had, right? You told me before you were traveling around the country, trying to get people to buy these bats. You were hanging out with the commissioner of baseball. I mean, it was pretty cool experiences.
It was. I was visiting accounts nationwide, meeting mom and pop shop owners all around the country, telling them the story. I really learned a lot about the power of storytelling, because when you could really tell a story, they can get behind the product, then they would trust to bring the product into the stores, and then they could tell the story to others, because without the story, nobody was buying that product. Yes. And so it was really cool. It was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you sell that company eventually, and you dove deep into influential marketing before that was such a term, and started a CEO and brand development agency because, I mean, you're so good with the storytelling and the tech. And although you were financially successful, you said you weren't feeling fulfilled until you realized who your favorite clients were, the kinds of people you really wanted to serve. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, Tim. Yeah. So essentially, influencer marketing, I started dabbling through in the beginnings of with the baseball bat company because I was working with people of influence and getting them the product. They would talk about it and it would help us grow. And now that's called influencer marketing, and it's done at scale in a different form because of the growth of social media. I ended up, once after I left that world of the baseball world, formed an SEO agency with my business partner, Phil, that's Socketbox Media. And after some time and some success in the digital world, I started realizing, why am I not fulfilled? I've built a good business. I have the ability to work remotely. I can travel. I've got freedom. Sure, I can be stressed. Of course, that you're building an own business is stressful, but I've got a pretty good thing going. And I started realizing that sometimes I was happier and sometimes I wasn't. And those times when I was more fulfilled had to do with the clients that we were working for. If the client, the company or brand had purpose behind it, if it had a purpose beyond just making profits, it was way more pleasurable to work for them, with them, to help them grow. While if there was this other company that just cared about maximizing profits, not so much. And it wasn't just about the concept of it, it's the company culture that comes with a purpose-driven company. Company culture, everyone in the company is more inspired. They're more pleasurable to work with. You're all working towards a common goal. And that's when I started realizing, my passion is purpose-driven business. It's conscious capitalism.
Yeah. Wow. Very good. Very good. So you say that then you started realizing that there's a whole different side to capitalism. And so you've been working with more conscious brands, and that businesses, I love this line, that businesses can scale good in a different way. So what does that mean?
Sure. Well, the nature of capitalism is to maximize profit. In order to maximize profit, you have to scale a product or service, right? If you now have built a purpose or a mission behind a brand or a company, and that mission or purpose is something good, right? In order to drive and scale the good, you need to scale the company, the service, right, or product. The more you can scale the product, the more you can scale that service, the more good you're going to bring to the world, which is unlike, for example, a nonprofit company that has a beautiful, hopefully a wonderful mission of scaling some sort of good, fully dependent on donations, grants, and some sort of backing, where if that's not there, they're unable to do it. The beautiful thing about building that into a capitalistic model is that you can scale that good. And so I think that that's just can be the solution to so many problems that we have in the world.
Oh, preach on, brother. I say that all the time, that the entrepreneurs and business leaders who are conscious, they're the ones who are going to transform the world, right? Absolutely. Not governments and not even nonprofits, because even with COVID hit, a lot of nonprofits just didn't have any funding,
exactly.
And people weren't giving. And so, but as businesses, we can create this powerful movement and transform the world in spite of those who still are not conscious, who are still caught up in, lining their own pockets, or who just don't have an awareness of how much of an impact they're really having on others or on the planet. Absolutely. So good for you. Yeah. So you co-found Socketbox Media, and you're serving pretty amazing clients like Live Nation, GMC, a bunch of other top brands. And you start to see a large demand for international brands and companies wanting to launch here in the US. So like any high performing entrepreneur, you're like, I can do that. Let me do that. There's a problem. I can fix that problem. I got this. Right. So that's when Go Global Agency was formed. So what do you do with this company, and what have you learned from running Go Global for the last several years?
Yeah, Go Global, another epic agency that I formed with my business partner, Nico. And like you said, it was finding this niche of international brands that wanted to grow or expand in the US. And it's most of these brands, when they're looking to do that, they're either going to continue using their local agency that they work with or team if they speak English. And if they don't speak English, if it's a non-speaking non-English speaking country that they're in, they're
Mhm.
going to just hire a local agency that speaks English. And we were seeing that that doesn't work. There's so many nuances to markets, whether it has to do with the brand, marketing, and even logistics of getting connected with people that are in the actual country where they're trying to expand. So that was the niche we saw. And we started working with a lot of international brands, and we do just about everything in terms of digital marketing outside of SEO, where we work with our sister agency, Socketbox, but just about everything. And, influencer marketing, social media development, design, and we help build teams that are perfect fits for these companies. And so what I've learned, I would say one of the things that I've learned the most is that when you're building teams of experts, I'm constantly working with new people, new talents, new creativity, different styles. So I would say what I've learned the most is conscious communication, because in order to be a conscious leader, which I aspire to be every single day, you realize that you have to have conscious communication, and you're working with these human beings who are going to make mistakes. And if they make mistakes and you're not able to communicate with them in a good way, you're not going to be able to fix those mistakes for the long run. So to be able to truly speak to somebody from the heart, get eye to eye, understand where they were coming from when they made those decisions, and consciously communicate with them to inspire them to do better and fix that in a way that you're not condescending somebody just to, whip. It's just that, I think, is such a skill to be learned for a conscious leader, to be able to consciously communicate, that helps inspire. And just that to me was, I think, one of the biggest learnings at Go Global Agency with new team members.
Yeah, that's excellent. I will tell you that a lot of leaders need, and really business owners need to know that it's important for your supervisors, your team leads, your managers to have those compassionate, supportive communication skills, what you call conscious communication, because a lot of them don't. A lot of them are still ridiculing, sarcastic, criticizing, hovering over people. I get employees that will call my private practice who are just burned out because of their leader, right? Not because of the company, but because of the particular team lead that they might have, and it's causing burnout. The old saying that people don't leave their job, they leave their boss. And so it's important for us that are, running these companies to make sure and not to assume. I learned early on in my career, especially when I started training other counselors, that to assume that people get it and that people have this training and that they know when they say, yeah, I know how to do that, never assume that's accurate. Because when you dig a little deeper, you realize, oh no, it's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm personally extremely detail oriented. And so I'm constantly catching things that other people aren't seeing. So my initial reaction inside is this, like, how can you not see what I'm seeing,
Yes.
And so like you said, if you can really learn how to communicate, I mean, it really is key, because the last thing I would ever want would be for somebody from my team or my agency, my company, to leave because of the boss. That would be the worst thing for me, right? If they leave, is because they found some passion elsewhere, not because of the communication or the company culture.
Nice. So Sebastian, what do you do in your mind then? Because I work with a lot of really high-powered, talented, type A driven perfectionists, wanting to make everything just perfect, highly driven entrepreneurs and business owners. And they recognize that in themselves. I had one guy one time, very successful, and he owned multiple companies. And he says, I'll sit down with my team. I already know what we're going to do, but I let them talk for 5 minutes. And then I'm like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And I said, you got to know how you're coming across to your people. And he was like surprised that I was giving him that kind of feedback, which is one of the reasons why people hire me as their coach, because I don't pull punches, right? I tell you exactly what's going on. And so a lot of times people just don't get it. So what do you do to slow down when you realize that people aren't keeping up with you?
It's something I work on every day. The first thing you do is you breathe. That I do is I breathe.
Yes.
So I breathe. I try to come in, be inside and breathe. If it's something that really has thrown me off because it's not, up to my standard or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Then I try to really understand the position that team member may be in. I want to get inside their head and say, okay, what else is going on in their life too? I'm wondering, right? Because they may just be stressed out in life. Maybe they had a fight with, their boyfriend or girlfriend, or something's going on with them that caused them to overlook these things. So I try to really, understand where they're coming from and always look at the good that they're doing. So I slow down myself. I look at everything else that's being done that's beautiful, compliment them for whatever they're doing that's great, and then go after the potential problem together, and then ask how I can help. How can I help you make this better next time? Is it resources? Is it another team member? Is it an extra meeting? What could I do better? I always ask them. I ask them for feedback all the time. I ask people that I lead for feedback.
That is awesome. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Sebastian, 6 steps to extraordinary corporate cultures. All right. So I just want to break that down. So step 1 is breathe, and through your nose, not your mouth. A lot of people breathe through their mouth. That activates your fight or flight response. You got to breathe through your nose. That triggers your relaxation response. Now I'm getting a little techie, but so you breathe through your nose. I love
the belly.
Yeah. Breathe down to the belly. That's right. Step 2, get curious. What's going on, not just in this moment, but the bigger picture. Step 3, step in their shoes. It creates empathy and compassion. Step 4, always look for the good. I believe in catching people doing things right instead of always catching people doing things wrong, because whatever you focus on expands, right? Number 5, solve the problem together. And then number 6, ask for feedback and how you can support them to their success. Well done, my friend. That was awesome.
Tim, I feel like this needs to be a book now. I feel like this.
Of course it does. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what we would think. We need to write a book now because we need another thing to do.
Breaking that down.
I know. So that's excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
So I always say that all these ideas made my brain so big, it pushed all my hair out. So that's what happens. So that's really good, though. I love how you broke that down, and you're constantly thinking about how can I take care of these people, not just what are they doing wrong and how do I get the outcome that I want. You're really seeing these people as people, right? And caring about them, and they feel that. That's how you build trust and loyalty, and you get engagement and discretionary effort and all the stuff that we always want from the people that we're working with. That's how you get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that unfortunately, at some points, if something continues to happen over and over and over again, that's when maybe that person isn't the right one for the job. And that's the even harder part of figuring out when somebody isn't there for the job because you like the person, but they're not the right person for the job. So figuring out how can we shift the skill set? What would you like to do better? And then figuring that out, right? Which is the challenging part too.
It certainly is. You got to have the right butt in the right seat, right? And so, and I've been privileged to be part of teams in companies where I've come in to work with them, and I've watched when that is not a good fit and what they do. And the best teams, I mean, I've witnessed companies where they just let them go, right? But the teams that I thought were really conscious businesses and really powerful, they would either find another spot in the company or they would help them find another job with another company.
Wonderful.
Which I just thought was so impressive. Like, we're letting you go, but we'll write a letter of recommendation for you and talk to the person that's hiring you, on your behalf. And I'm like, wow, that is so impressive. So yeah, I love how you are thinking about that as well. It's very important. Absolutely. So in 2020, you launched a podcast called Conscious Profits Unfiltered, and where you interview other intentional leaders and entrepreneurs who are passionate about conscious capitalism. So tell me a little bit about your show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of realizing these types of clients that I liked working with more than others and seeing my passion for conscious capitalism, I thought, I can't just go to my business partners and say, we will never take a non-conscious business as a client ever again. I have partners and there's other things involved. So I thought, how can I attract more conscious business? How can I attract more conscious companies? And furthermore, how can I continue to learn more about this thing that I'm passionate about? And I thought, well, why not speak my truth? Let's take this to a podcast. This is a great way to bring on other intentional leaders that can teach me more. They're going to help me inspire others. They are inspiring others. And it just kind of continues to expand consciousness in business. And that's what I love about it. It's unfiltered because, I mean, people are themselves. We talk about their stories, we talk about real things, their fears, things that are sad. People curse. I mean, it's real life. It's just, that's what I love about it. And
authentic. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. So I encourage everybody to subscribe and check that out. So let's talk a little bit about Shakra Coffee, right? Your new spice coffee that you just launched about a week ago, right? And so one of the things that you had said, which I was always impressed with, is that you take a portion of those proceeds and you pour them into helping people with mental wellness, which of course is something that I'm very passionate about. Not just mental health, but mental wellness, because everybody needs to feel mentally well. And I think too many people are just riddled with stress and fear and overwhelm. And then we cope with all kinds of poor habits that destroy our health and ruin our quality of life. So tell me a little bit about why you felt compelled to pour it into mental wellness.
Yeah. So my business partner today, Chris Crone at Shakra Spiced Coffee, came to me a few years ago with an idea for flavored coffee. And it was changing this whole business model for how flavored coffee was made without chemicals, with real fruits and yada, yada. We ended up essentially scratching that project. And he was struggling with a lot of brain fog issues. And he started trying these different types of spices and that were helping him with clarity, and started testing out spices in the coffee. And I'm going to skip a lot of the whole production and the coffee from Kilimanjaro and the roasting and the this and the that, turning this kitchen into a lab. We came up with this great product. And at the end of the day, what I was realizing is I, for the first time about 2 years ago, experienced my own mental, health issues, with anxiety, with some panic. And I saw how much it can overtake everything. I mean, it's, your physical health and your mental health. If you don't have either of those, you're just kind of screwed, right? So it's essentially, I saw how important it became to me. And I saw how important it was to him from the brain fog standpoint for him. And I thought, man, we've created this product that came out of this idea of helping your mental clarity. I'm now extremely passionate about this aspect of maintaining mental health and well-being. And a lot of it has to do with awareness and talking about it. If I talk to you about it, or I tell my friend or you, I say, you know what, I am experiencing anxiety over this and that. Just talking about that is going to help the anxiety, right? So that awareness is so important. So I decided, let's build this right into the business model, and 5% of our proceeds will be donated to spreading awareness about mental health. So this is the very beginnings of it. I think one of my things with conscious business is not trying to solve every problem in the world all in one. It's starting somewhat small and seeing where that can go, as long as you've built it into the model from the very beginning. So what that's going to look like 3-4 years from now, whether that is that we've got our own programs for mental health or mental wellness, that would be awesome. Right now, we're tying ourselves to mental health organizations to spread awareness.
Yeah. Well, good for you. That's fantastic. I'm super happy that you're doing that and just bringing more awareness to it. And because everybody goes through it, we don't talk about it a lot, but everybody has their experiences, whether they're feeling it with their money or their marriage or their health or their own self-esteem or their past. We are all human and we all have those issues and challenges. And so the more we shine light on it and the more we learn how to use the technology that exists, that's so much better than the pop culture stuff or the counseling approaches that were developed, 200 years ago. The technology we have these days is so much more effective, and people can literally free themselves from so many issues, in 30 minutes, just learning how to use the power of their mind to create their life by design. So I'm glad that you're using your business as a force for good in the world. Sebastian, where can people learn more about you and all your fabulous companies?
Yeah, before we go there, I wanted to read you a quote from one of my favorite authors, Deepak Chopra. He says, enlightened leadership is spiritual if we understand spirituality not as some kind of religious dogma or ideology, but as the domain of awareness where we experience values like truth, goodness, beauty, love, and compassion, and also intuition, creativity, insight, and focused attention. And what I wanted to tell your listeners about that is this aspect of spirituality, not being religious.
Mhm.
And if you can bring in spirituality into business through purpose. So if one can find and build some purpose into their business, they're looking at ways that they can feel more inspired. That's the way to do it, I think. And if you can find that purpose, you've now made your business spiritual, which is now in turn going to make you a more purpose-driven and enlightened conscious leader. I think that is the key to bringing consciousness into business and becoming a better leader. So just wanted to share that.
That's so good. So good. I'm so happy that you shared that. Yeah, I first heard the term spiritual leadership from my friend Ebony Adams-Monk. She was on the program, and she works for a big chemical company. So she works for a lot of oil companies, and she's bringing spiritual leadership into these organizations, which thank goodness. So it was perfect that you read that. I love that. And it's so true. We work so many hours. Shouldn't it make us feel fulfilled? Right? Shouldn't we spend, that time feeling like we're getting from the day instead of just trying to get through the day? So yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely, Tim. Yeah. So, well, people can find me they could just go to sebastiannaum.com. I've got links to all kinds of things in there, my podcasts and my other agencies as well. And they can find me on Instagram at Seb Naum. That's SEBNAUM. And I put a lot of content on there from the podcasts about my life in general and so on. So feel free to connect with me on there as well.
Outstanding. Now I do have just a couple more quick questions for you because this is going so well. I want more of you, Sebastian. So
I love it.
Yeah. So you are on the board of directors for Conscious Capitalism in Los Angeles. So are there any tips for helping company leaders who might be listening to our conversation right now for how to start using your business as a force for good in this world?
Yeah.
Where does someone start?
Yeah, I think the tip is to start small, because if you think, how am I going to curb global warming? Like, you're not going to be able to do that on your own. I think
that's a big one.
Maybe you can, right? But so it's what small thing do you care about in your community, with the environment? What kind of problem would you like to solve? And don't try to solve it yourself. Yeah. Who else is doing something pretty good about solving this problem? Start really small. Find this epic organization that's helping solve this problem that you're passionate about. Build that into your business model, into your profit model. Start putting some money away towards helping this organization that's helping solve this problem. Slowly, you're going to start seeing that that's helping impact there. And you then communicate that into everyone else, all your stakeholders of your company, your employees, your teams, your other leaders, your customers. Everyone around you needs to know about this purpose that you've now built into your business, because that's going to in turn change the company culture. It's going to help your business itself. It's going to help grow your business. You're now scaling that impact and scaling the good as well. But feel free to start small. That's the tip. Smart.
Yeah. You don't get too overwhelmed, and you figure out one thing that you are passionate about in particular, and then find others to collaborate with. Yeah. A lot of entrepreneurs are lone wolves, right? And we got to learn to keep working together, because that's when the real magic starts to happen. Every company that you have, you mentioned your partner, and it was different for every company, right? And that's the power of collaborating. So
yeah, absolutely. Good. I think the challenging part too can be for a lot of people that say, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not a CEO. You can be an entrepreneur, and you can figure out ways that you're passionate about. Talk about it with your leaders inside your company. See how you can build it. Even if you're in a large scale corporation, a lot of large scale corporations are looking for ways to give back, to do good, and this and that. Don't be afraid to bring an idea that you're passionate about to your leaders and talk about it internally as well. So you don't have to be a CEO to do it.
Yeah. It's a good point that you brought up, and I'm really glad you did, because I remember I put together a program for a company one time, and it was called How to Think Like an Entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurs are collaborative. We see a problem, we go fix it. We always believe we can. We are always finding the good in others. We are always self-motivated and self-driven. We'd like to make things happen, and because we know that we can make things happen, and we're not afraid of failing. It's just feedback. And so we want that feedback so that we can use it to keep, growing forward. So many qualities that make people super successful. And so I just call it thinking like an entrepreneur. We want more of that in businesses, as opposed to all that bureaucracy and all the different levels. It's businesses sometimes are like caste systems, and they help people feel stuck, and there's too much disconnect, and you have mini kingdoms, and you have people that feel divided or competitive, with one another. And there's no way that you could reach the potential that you could if you thought more the way that that we're talking about, where you're more conscious.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll put it in the book.
We'll throw that in the book as well. Yeah.
So, all right, one more question for you. You talk about scaling impact. So I guess that would be what you would do then, right? You would start small. So when you talk about scaling your impact, what do you mean by that?
Sure. I think it's going to be a combination of everything that we've just talked about. It has to start with finding that purpose. So if you can find that purpose, make your business spiritual so that you can be this enlightened and conscious leader. And now you've built that into your business model. By nature, you're going to scale impact. If you're building that purpose into your business and you are now infecting everyone around you with that purpose and that inspiration and that passion, everyone around you is going to be on that same boat. They're all going to want to fix this thing about the environment that you so passionately speak about and have built into the business, or help the community that you're trying to help, or whatever problem you're trying to solve outside of just making profits. And everybody around you is really, feeding off of that. Your profits are going to go up. And by your profits going up, you're going to scale that impact and scale the good.
Yeah. Boom. There you go. Couldn't say it better than that. That's outstanding. Sebastian Naum, thank you so much, Sebastian, for being on the show today. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Tim. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's Tim. You ever wonder why so many talented, hardworking entrepreneurs and business owners struggle with inconsistent self-belief, or high stress, or procrastination, or self-sabotage? Well, the answer may surprise you, and the solution is already inside of you. I've been searching for the answers to this for decades, and I found them, and I put it into a new program called The Power of Your Unconscious Mind, Mental Secrets for Accelerating Success. And because you're a listener, I want to give you a free VIP copy. Head over to PowerMindsetProgram.com. That's PowerMindsetProgram.com and grab your copy today.